The first person I'm going to introduce you to right now in our next panel, just after my son was diagnosed, the folks at the Doheny Eye Institute said to me, "There's a woman you have to meet, Lissa." And they said she's been really involved with LHON for a long time. And I talked to her, and I only got to meet her last night for the first time, but she's really inspired me for a lot of the things I've done. She told me she really wanted there to be national awareness of LHON. She told me we needed to support the research community, and I'd like her to tell you about her journey with LHON. It's really inspirational.
Okay. Hi, everybody. My name is Nancy Amatia, and I'd like to tell you briefly how Libras has affected me, my life, and how we as a family got involved in fundraising for this disease. 15 years ago, my nephew, Carmen, who was 20 years old at the time, my sister's son, and my brother-in-law, Randy, went for an eye exam prior to a job interview. After his eye exam, the doctor told him to get to Cleveland Clinic immediately. We thought at the time he had a brain tumor. So I got down there, and the doctor had asked if there was anyone blind in our family. It was like deja vu. My brother had lost his sight 40 years ago. There was no name at that time. We had no idea why he did. My father took him to the clinic, he took him to university, and he took him to a hospital in Boston. He asked if I had children. I said yes. He asked if there were any cousins on the maternal side, and we all had to bring them down on Monday, because this was a Friday, for blood work and DNA testing. We did, and lo and behold, 6 weeks later, 1177-8 was the mutation, and there was Leber's, there was a name, LHON. It was a nightmare. There were tears, and to us, it was horrible, because my sister was married at the time my brother was diagnosed, and I lived with him, brought him to the Sight Center. He was upbeat like the three gentlemen up here, and he started a radio station at the Sight Center. He was wonderful. But there were tears and tears, and my sister broke down. It was horrible. So I thought, nope, I have to do something. So I asked the doctor at the clinic, what are you going to do? You have to start research. And he said, you have to live with it. It's an orphan disease, and accept it. Me, being 100% Italian and stubborn, said, I don't think so. You have to do something. And he said, no, there's nothing you can do. And so I said, well, I'm going to raise money, and I'm going to chair somebody to do research. I have to do this. Her kids are like mine. At the time, I had no children. So he said, okay, you have to raise $250,000. And I said, okay, I'll do it. So this was the beginning of the search for a cure. We went to many fundraisers. I never had one before. I rallied many friends and family, and with my sister and my brother-in-law and many friends. We had our very first fundraiser, and we had over 950 people. And that was 15 years ago when Carmen got diagnosed. Unfortunately, 4 years after Carmen got diagnosed, my sister's second son, Vince, went blind. She has 3 sons, and when we went to California to see Dr. Sadoun, she has a 3rd son, and with Joey, they had said when Dr. Sadoun checked him out, they had said when he was 7, he was having problems seeing. They had said there was no explanation that his optic nerves were already paled and withered. They had said they thought he had lost his sight when he was 7, and it had reversed itself, thankfully. So she does have 2 that did lose their sight, but they are doing great. As of now, from 15 years, we have raised close to $1 million. We have gone, We have not, since 1999, there's no social media like there is now. We've gone door to door. We've got doors slammed in our face. My sister would cry. I'd swear under my breath. And then finally I would tell her, stay home, we'll do it. Our committee from 15 years ago has gotten smaller, but I still stand strong. We've gotten in many newspapers. We've been on TV. And the one thing that sticks in my head and will always be there is when my nephew, who was a star football player in college, when Channel 8 had asked him, do you miss driving? He said, no, I miss seeing my mother's face. That bothered me, and still to this day, because I was glad my grandmother wasn't alive to know she passed this on, but she gave me WPW along with my mother. They had the ablation, I had the open heart surgery, and I also have MS. But thankfully, so far, my children are okay, and my cousins are. But I will continue, and so will my sister, keep fighting, because I believe there will be a cure, because with Dr. Valerio and Dr. Pat and Dr. Sadoon, I will never give up as long as I could keep walking. All of you people can do some research. You can make funds. Even if you raise $1,000, it all adds up. Jeremy's doing it. If all of you can do something, just anything, it all will add up. We are chairing Fred at Doheny, and he's doing research just for Liebers. If all of us can get together and just do something, all that money adds up. And believe me, that's what's keeping it going. We all need to raise money. So if I can do it, believe me, all of you can do it. So please try to get together. I had no idea what I was doing the first time, and I believe all of you can do it, so I beg you to please try to do something, anything. Thank you.
I'm glad you all had a chance to meet Nancy and hear what I heard 5 years ago. Maybe some of you who asked me where I got the fire in my belly, where I got it from, maybe now you know. With a little bit newer story, but maybe the same themes. Would you carry on?
Sure. My name is Audrey Davis. We are from Grafton, Mass. My son Chaz is the affected one in our family. Not too long ago, there was a story in the news and kind of a viral video about this cat that attacked a dog. The dog was attacking the toddler in the family. The neighbor's dog was, the young boy's cat attacked the dog to get him away. Well, how unusual is it for a cat to attack a dog? Well, that is me. I am the cat. This is not something that is innate for me, to be out there and fundraise and kind of put myself out there. I was never the bake sale mom, the PTA mom, and but when something happens to your child, as a mother, you would do anything. My son Charles is pretty remarkable. It was in his first year of college. He's now just finished his second year. In the spring, he called us and said that he was having trouble seeing out of one eye, that it looked as if a flash had gone off. And fortunately, he doesn't go to school too far away from where we live, and I drove down thinking I would bring him home for a doctor's appointment. And instead, it turned into a hospital stay with all the tests that all of you have gone through, and was pretty scary, but over a short period, we ended up, the second eye became affected, and we ended up at a neuro-ophthalmologist in Boston who was pretty frank about his diagnosis, and after the genetic tests proved it, we were kind of going through the stages of grief and acceptance. And initially our focus was on the medical side of things. And then it became the practical side of things, what to get him to go back to school. At the end of the summer, it was the Friday, he was going back to school on a Sunday. He picked up his technology package from the Mass Commission for the Blind, who told him that he might as well stay home, that it wasn't going to work. And pretty much told him how easy it would be to bring back the technology. He went back to school and made the president's list, not just the dean's list. So I can brag because I'm the mother. It was not easy. When the young men spoke about, being patient and, letting them be, and as the mother, you often get the brunt of the frustration. And intellectually, I understood that, but emotionally, it was very painful. So after this kind of adjustment period, I was kind of at home. He was busy at college, and what do I do to keep myself out of the pit of grief? It was right after the 2020 segment, and Lisa had put up the LHON project page for fundraising, and I thought, well, maybe we can raise a little. And I thought we'd be lucky if we had some donations. And again, I wasn't going at this with the thought of an event or anything else. And I put it out there, and I wrote a letter, an email with the, as I kind of spread this link for fundraising. And I made it personal, because I think that's probably my first tip to you. Well, let's be clear, I'm not giving you tips because I am an expert, but just I've found a few things that have been helpful. So making it personal is very important. And I made that letter personal. I told our story, and that's what people wanted to hear. And we had a response just from that, from obviously friends and family, but also people from our community that I had never even met before, who had heard about it from other folks. And it was amazing, and it really helped me on a personal level. So you could say it was a bit of selfish fundraising. It gave me something positive to focus on and made me feel a sense of comfort with the support we were getting. Another aspect of my son's life that I'll brag a little about is his competitive nature and his passion for running. All through high school, he was a very competitive runner, and won, I don't know all his statistics like I should, but he won many awards. He was a district champion in cross country and indoor track and all kinds of things. So I knew that was a passion of his. We have a race in our small town. It's a 5-mile race that's held every spring. And after he was diagnosed, he did go back to school and stay on the cross-country team. He did try one race, but in cross-country in college, it's very much on a trail, and it was not successful. But he wanted to run, and that really is fuel for him, so, and a good outlet. So I knew this race was coming up in May, and I approached the recreation department who puts on the race to see if there would be some way that we could incorporate Chaz and the fundraising into that. And while they couldn't do, state law prohibited some, we were able to piggyback on the race. And at that time, it seemed overwhelming to start our own race, but we raised, I asked the Lions Club, again, a lot of this is completely outside my nature, but I asked our Lions Club if they would help fund T-shirts. So we designed and made T-shirts. We have the requisite metal, rubber bracelet thing that I'm told you can't wear more than 2, right, Chaz? So those were things we sold at the race and were able to make some money, plus raise awareness. But the best thing about the whole day was that Chaz came home from college for that day with 2 of his friends who ran with him. He was quite stubborn about practicing with the sighted guide, so I'm sure he could improve on the technique, but they got him through the race, and it was a very emotional finish as he crossed the finish line in between, arm in arm with his 2 college buddies. And it was just the most amazing feeling, and so many people from our community were heavily invested in his success, and it was a great kickoff. And so that helped raise awareness too. We just finished last weekend a fitness fundraiser, and we'll be hearing about Maria's fitness fundraiser soon as she gets back to San Diego. There's a gym in our town, and the woman who runs it, manages it, said that she would donate, her instructors would donate their class time for the day. And anyone who signed up for a class, it would be $20. And we helped spread the word through social media to get people to sign up. And I also thought that we could raise more money if we had raffle items. And that turned into a great, it basically doubled our take for that day. I was not shy suddenly, because of course when it comes to your children you can do amazing things. And I asked, we had restaurant gift certificates, we had a week in a condo, we made baskets, all kinds of things. I approached friends volunteered. That day I had a lot of help. We met some more people that really enforce that we live in a great community, and I've been inspired by Nancy too. So though our numbers are very impressive, and we've just really started in January, and we're around 15,000 now, I don't think we'll stop, and I think it's been as much a benefit for us and our family as it has been for raising the funds for research. And I'll echo what Nancy said, that you can all do something. I speak the truth when I say I am not the organized, go-getter type when it comes to those kinds of things, but when you have a loved one and you want the best for them, and you just want to fix things for your kids, but you can't, this is a great way to do something positive, and I urge you all to try something. I don't have all the answers. I say make it personal, follow your passion, find something that works for you, something involved with running, like Charles's passion, or music, or food, whatever your passion is, and just run with it. And you'll be surprised how much of a benefit it is for you and your loved ones too. Thank you.
Thank you both. I'd like to take a minute and share my own LHON fundraising journey, and then we'll take questions. Basically, when I was in that shell-shocked mode that Nancy with the 5 sons demonstrated she's in, and we all know what that's like, that's when I reached out to Fred Deal, who started the iFund site. And he said, I was just looking for information and help, and information about the disorder. And he said, Lissa, after we talked a while, he said, your son likes golf, you should do a golf fundraiser. And I said, I'm trying to deal with the emotional, the school, I was overwhelmed. And the notion of running a golf fundraiser was like, don't even go there. But hey, it put a thought in my mind, and when the time was right, you know, ideas turn into action. I was inspired by a few other people. There's a person in the UK, James Ferguson, who had put up a 2 people, 1 bike. He'd done a ride to raise money for the work at Newcastle. And then I saw the article in the Doheny newsletter about Nancy and her family, and gosh, at the time, they were only at 350,000. So there's been a whole lot of improvement since then, and I was impressed back then. So my daughter and her friend, we were having dinner, and her friend happened to mention that her sister was in the Delta Gamma sorority. And she said that Delta Gamma's philanthropy is Service for Sight, which I knew. I'd already checked that out. I was looking for ways to support the cause. And she said, my sister is the head of philanthropy at one of the local universities at DG's. I'm like, forget dinner. Jeremy's doing the dishes. We're gonna deal with this now. Call her now. So called the sister, and I explained, you know, she knew about Jeremy having this. It's personal, right? It was a friend. And so she invited Jeremy and myself to come down and tell our story. So I went down thinking, we'll tell the story and they'll make a donation to research. Well, we told the story, and the girls were touched. No donation, but they were informed, they were touched, and it was kind of interesting. We told the story, both from Jeremy's point of view as a college student to other college students, and then as a mother to a room full of teenage girls, what this was all about. It was kind of interesting. So much so that the next week, Jeremy called me and said, hey, Mom, I went to the DG house on my campus, and I said, can I talk to them? Okay, will you come down and help me? Sure. So that's the second photo. We went and spoke at the next DG's on his campus. And so we told the story, and I was just going there to be a part of telling the story. But lo and behold, when it was over, the president said, wait, we want to tell you something. We were so touched by what you're going through that we had a fundraiser last weekend, and we want to give you the money we raised to help the research that Dr. Sadhu and Dr. Crowley and all these folks are doing on your behalf. I'm like in tears. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is exciting. And I was off. My family was off. Jeremy had a roommate who said, hey dude, you know, we need to do something about this. I want to help you. Let's do a walk. Let's walk from San Diego to Seattle. Jeremy's like, that's probably a bit much. So they turned that into, let's do a bike ride. So let's do a bike ride from Santa Barbara to San Diego. That seemed doable. And so Jeremy and 3 of his buddies did a bike ride from Santa Barbara to San Diego over 4 days, and they raised $3,000, and we were so excited, and it was just a wonderful experience. And the next year, all of his buddies wanted to be a part of it, so it grew from 4 to 10 the next, and then they were on local television because we start promoting it, and then you've got a dozen. But the thing that I learned as this happened, it's about the money, and I know we need money to fund research, so it is about the money, but it became about what was happening. It's like what Audrey was saying. Okay, they're around a campfire, bonfire. We're not supposed to do that, but there's exceptions. And here's the guys hanging around the bonfire, hanging out. And it was the camaraderie and the friendship and his friends helping. And there's this natural process of, for them to help, they have to learn about LHON. For them to learn about LHON, they understand what Jeremy's going through and our family. The more his friends know, the more everybody's part of the process, and it's all helpful. So it sort of grew beyond just the fundraising into the experience. One thing led to another. There was a lot of you voted for, there's a group in San Diego called Stay Classy. They try to shine a light on nonprofits, philanthropies, fundraisers. And so Jeremy and his friend Mark happened to win, thanks to a lot of online voting. They won for the best fundraiser that year. And so they got to give a little speech about it, and one of the best parts of it was that the Stay Classy company has software, fundraising software. So there's a lot of issues that come up when you're fundraising, like how do you make sure that it's tax deductible? How do you get it to, I mean, a lot of donors want to know, where's it going? One of the great things about being associated with the UMDF is that the LHON project is part of an organization where all those issues of tax deductibility are taken care of, and notifications, that's all happening online there. People don't have to go on the ride to participate. You can be a virtual rider. We had people one year who became virtual riders, and they told their story on the piggyback of Jeremy's group riding, and so that has become an annual fundraiser with lots of benefits. One of Jeremy's friends said, hey dude, let's do a triathlon. Jeremy's a golfer, he is not a triathlete, but in the spirit of I can do anything, he said sure. They signed up for a triathlon, not knowing anything about running, swimming, or biking, but hey, whatever. And I said, well, if you're gonna do that, maybe we should take baby steps and you should do a half marathon first. So he and his buddy Alden crossed the finish line, and Jeremy realized, okay, I'm not a runner, I'm not a triathlete. But in the process, I mean, he learned something, he did something, and we learned that a lot of organizations out there like running races do have charity connections. So we then became an official, LHON project is now an official charity of our local marathon, and every year, systematically, we're one of those charities, and because we're one of those charities, when the race sells out, a couple of the spots, people, to get one of the remaining spots, they have to donate X amount of dollars to our charity. So we get, without having to do any work, we get money, which I think is a good thing when it's for our cause. And then one of the other cool things about it is that we run a water station, man a water station. So I'm communicating to people in the community who know us to come work the water station. It's Jeremy's fraternity brothers, it's his brothers and sisters' friends from high school, and oh, by the way, I reach out to everybody in Southern California who might want to come hang out at our water station and be part of the process. Do you recognize this person who's been up at the podium? Maria and her family live close by, so they came to our water station. So they get to participate, be part of the process, and we're talking about, we're not passing out the water. We're talking LHON while the other kids are passing out the water. So again, it becomes an opportunity, and you didn't mention this, but somebody else in the community came to one of your fundraisers. It's happened to both of you, and it becomes sort of a neutral location. Like sometimes it's weird to say you want to meet for coffee, but I've done that too. But you can have a place where people can come together and work on it. So through this Stay Classy software, various people can create LHON focused initiatives, and they all drive to the project. So Jeremy's fraternity has run an annual beach soccer tournament with the fraternities and sororities. And again, this being a college-age disorder, fraternities and sororities are always raising money. Might as well give it to this project, right? There's a correlation. This is Chaz's activity, which, as she said, sort of came out of, I was like, okay, well, he's going to be on 2020, so let's make a fundraiser out of it. And a few people picked up on it, as she did, and ran with it, which is awesome. And last year, Shelley spoke. She had done a bag toss tournament. So you can do anything that's interesting to you and create something out of it. A lot of you are wearing the wristbands. You know, if you want to create, yep, Dr. Crowley has his on. I like that. And it's also a good tool if you're in the Doheny Eye Institute and you want to see who else is there to see Dr. Sadoun. That's sort of a code. But if you can either make your own or you can order them off of LHON.org. So as I was trying to say, it's the impact of the fundraising. Sure, the money helps. It does. It really does. It's important. But there's so much more that happens. Every time you outreach, it's an opportunity to educate. You just don't know who you're going to be talking to and what it's going to connect to for them and how they might be able to help. Constantly explaining LHON, central vision loss. It lets your friends, your families help. People want to do something. They want to help you out. They don't know what or how. This becomes a way. And if anyone wants help, I can help, or I'll put you in touch with other people who can actually help. So please don't be shy. And if anyone has questions for our panel, please ask away because Chris is going to walk those around. Questions?
question.
Perfect. All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys.